of the 54th Annual Meeting of the Board of Governors of the Caribbean Development Bank. This annual meeting convenes the bank's highest decision-making body, the Board of Governors. It also provides a forum to discuss the bank's work and its impact across the Caribbean region. It allows the CDB to engage a diverse group of stakeholders in our mission of driving sustainable development. Under our theme, Partnerships for Resilient Prosperity, we're gathered in Ottawa, Canada, to strengthen existing alliances, forge new bonds, and foster deeper collaboration with the goal of supporting the citizens, organizations, and communities of the region that we serve. Yet as we spread our branches, we cannot forget our roots. And as we seek to create a bright future, we must remain aligned with the past. Drawing on an ancient tradition, we turn to a practice revered in numerous Indigenous communities worldwide: drumming. This sacred ritual uplifts prayers, positive thoughts, and positive energy. Therefore, as our governors and senior leadership enter the meeting chamber, we will commence our proceedings with the Eagle River Singers and a ceremony of the drums. Governors and members of the head table, we invite you to be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we now present members of the Board of Governors of the Caribbean Development Bank. We start by acknowledging the British Overseas Territories, the gems of the Northern Caribbean, Anguilla, the Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, Montserrat, and the Turks and Caicos Islands, all represented by the Governor for the British Overseas Territories, the Honorable Joseph A. Farrell, Premier of Montserrat. Next, we have the Governor for Antigua and Barbuda, hailing from the land of 365 beaches, we're told one for every day of the year, Senator Dwayne George. Not to be outdone, from the land of 700 spectacular islands and keys scattered across the Northern Caribbean Sea, we have the Governor for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the Honorable Wade Watson. From the country that gave the world the Right Excellent Sir Garfield Sobers and the Right Excellent Robin Fenty, better known as Rihanna, we have the Governor for Barbados, the Honorable Ryan Strawn. We now move to the west end of the Caribbean, and from the territory with the world's second largest barrier reef, we have the Governor for Belize, Mr. Valentino Schall. This country has the most successful national football team in the history of the FIFA World Cup, and it's also home to the largest portion of the Amazon rainforest, the lungs of the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, the Governor for Brazil is Ms. Renata Amaral. Our next representative is from a cradle of civilization and a bedrock of modern manufacturing. The Governor for the People's Republic of China is Mr. Liao Mingzi. And please allow me to say bienvenido to the envoy from the country where lofty snow-tipped mountains tower high above equatorial forests, the Governor for Colombia, Ms. Luz Stella Campio Hernandez. From the birthplace of some of Europe's most celebrated composers and philosophers and poets, from Bach to Beethoven, please welcome the Governor for Germany, Dr. Katrin Schroeder. Representing the Spice Isle, the home of Olympic champion Kirani James, the Governor for Grenada is the Honorable Lennox Andrews. It is a land of many waters, and to that we can now add fountains of black gold. Representing Guyana is Governor Dr. the Honorable Ashley Singh. And representing the second oldest country in the Americas, the birthplace of Toussaint Louverture, Mr. Fitzgerald Lewis is the Governor for Haiti. From the Republic famous for the Renaissance and iconic fine artists such as Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, we have the Governor for Italy, Mr. Simone Alberto Platina. And from the land of Usain Bolt and Bob Marley and the great Blue Mountain Coffee, we welcome the Governor for Jamaica, Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark. The Twin Island Federation, a land of magnificent mountains and glorious scenery, is represented by its Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Handley, who is Governor for St. Kitts and Nevis. And the Helen of the West, the home of the Pitons, and the host of last year's annual meeting, is represented by Mr. Paul Hilaire, who is Governor for St. Lucia. Now, if we're speaking of beautiful islands, there are none as splendid as the 22 idyllic territories that make up St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the Governor is the Honorable Camilo Gonzalez. From the land of Pan and Calypso, soca, and doubles, the CDB Governor for Trinidad and Tobago is the Honorable Penelope Beckles Robinson. Representing the country that gave the world the beautiful games of football and cricket, we have the Governor for the United Kingdom, Dr. Christopher Athade. And now please permit me to introduce the senior executives of the Caribbean Development Bank seated at our head table. General Counsel and Bank Secretary for the CDB, Mrs. Diana Wilson-Patrick. Vice President, Finance and Corporate Services, Mr. Gregory Hill. Acting Vice President, Operations, Mrs. Therese Turner-Jones. And Acting President, Mr. Isaac Solomon. And from the Great White North, the land of maple leaves and countless lakes, the largest country in the Western Hemisphere, ladies and gentlemen, the Governor for Canada and Chairman of the Board of Governors of the Caribbean Development Bank, the Honorable Ahmed Hussein. Please stand for the National Anthem of Canada. Thank you. Please be seated. We are honored to acknowledge the presence of Elder Claudette Commander, Algonquin, Anishinaabe, Kitigan, Zibi, and Nishi Abeg First Nation. Parliamentary Secretary of International Development, Ms. Anita Van Den Velde. Deputy Minister of International Assistance, International Development, the Honorable Chris McLennan. And representatives from Indigenous communities from the Caribbean and Canada. We thank you for joining us. We now invite Elder Commander to give us the invocation and invite blessings.
Bonjour tout le monde.
Good morning, everyone.
Kani mich kijigun kinun edishnakaz kitagan zibi donjabon. Miigwej kakina, miigwej kibijayeg, oma nongum. Pijajikoma anishnaabe eki oma maweniniwag. I'm very honored to be here with you. I'm honored as I stand before my ancestors and I address each and every one of you, distinguished leaders and guests. On behalf of my ancestors and behalf of my nation, the Algonquin people, our relatives, we welcome each and every one of you to this beautiful homeland of our ancestors and our people, the Algonquin Nation, O Mama Weniniwag. The homeland that the Creator entrusted onto us since time immemorial, and the homeland that we will ensure will be here forevermore, today and tomorrow, for our children and our descendants. As I welcome you into the territory of my ancestors, the blessing will be given to you, to honor your life, to honor the work that you are doing, and to honor creation. And at this time, I welcome each and every one of you into this prayer circle, this blessing. And I ask that you give your words of appreciation and your words of prayer in the way that you believe, in the way that you understand. But before I give those words of a blessing, Emiyawin, I want to acknowledge the beauty, that first beauty of life, the drum, the heartbeat of Mother Earth. To give thanks to the singers, those young men who continue to uphold the sacred responsibility that they have to honor the Creator and to honor Mother Earth by singing those songs that were gifted to us by the Creator and our ancestors. So I say, Chimigwej ininiwag, Kichimigwej onji chimino tagazuin, ashish Kichimigwej onji chimino nugumuin. I thank those singers for the beautiful words of their song that they sang for us to honor each and every one of you who are gathered here today, to honor each and every one of you, of your ancestors, to honor each and every one of you, of your relatives, to honor each and every one of you for your life and the work that you are doing. And as we honor you, we are doing our responsibility for the Creator, Gishiminado, and we are also honoring our ancestors. And as I say thank you to my ancestors, Nijenwen Daganago Mama Weniniwag, I honor and recognize each and every one of your ancestors. But for the ancestors, we would not be here. Now I will give these words of a blessing for you. We're gathered here in the sacredness of this circle, and it has been blessed, this circle. It has been blessed by the strength of our Creator. It has been blessed by the strength and the love and the prayers of our ancestors through the singing of this drum, the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And I'm sure that you have all felt that heartbeat as those men were singing that song. Kichimigwej, migwej gijimenado, kichimigwej kina kego, kichimigwej onje kakina. Gijimenado, kichimigwej jojoaki, kichimigwej kokemisag, kichimigwej mishomsag anabigus, da spinigen, ni buksendam, wido kowa doduin, chimino tagizuin, ni bakkawin, zagiedewin, ashish mino pimadzuin. Anabigus kishiminado ni buksendam, onje kakina. Migwej, mishomiskizis, migwej kokomistipikizis, migwej, ni genwen daganago mama wininiwak, oh, chimigwej. Migwej jojoaki, kichimigwej onje mishkiki, kichimigwej onje nibi, kichimigwej onje aki, kichimigwej onje ishkude, oh, chimigwej, migwej. Creator, we come before you in this circle with a good heart, a good mind, and we stand together with that one spirit to give you thanks, Creator, for the beauty of life, to thank you, Creator, for all of your blessings, Kinakego. Creator, as I acknowledge the ancestors of this land, the ancestors whom you have blessed me with, O Mama Weniniwag, I say a prayer to all the ancestors of the people who are here, that their ancestors will continue to pray for them and to guide them. Creator, together as one people in this circle, that one life that you've given us, Creator, that we honor our Mother, the Earth, and we give her thanks for all that she's provided from that water life, the medicine life, the trees, the water, the land, the air that we breathe, and the warmth. And our relatives, the animals, we give you thanks, Creator, for those gifts, as we thank our Mother, the Earth. We give thanks to our grandfather, the sun, whose breath warms us each and every day, as we give thanks to our grandmother, the moon, whose nightlight shines upon us each and every night. And Creator, without these sacred elements, we would not be here. So we thank you for those blessings. And Creator, my prayer for all who are here in the blessing, ni nemiya winonji kakina nichkiwe doga shishinishna beg, ininiwag ashish ikwewag. We ask the grandmothers and the grandfathers of the 4 directions to come into this circle to bless this meeting. And Creator, may the people who are here, the leaders of all countries who are here, they continue doing that good work, because the good work that is being done and the good work that needs to be done today and tomorrow is for the children today and the children tomorrow. And may we continue to show that love and that kindness and that respect to one another, and that peace and that friendship. Gishiminado kichimigwej onje, bimadzuin ashishzagiyeduin. Miigwej, we thank you, Creator. And I thank you, Creator, for hearing this prayer and this blessing. And I thank you, Creator, for the medicine of sage and the medicine of sweetgrass, as it was lit to invoke the spirits and to call upon the ancestors. And it is our way to say thank you to you, Creator, for hearing our prayer and blessing this meeting and blessing the work of the Canadian Development Bank and all those countries and partners. Creator, thank you for life and thank you for love. And may we continue to show that love to one another as brothers and sisters in that sacred circle of the medicine wheel. Life. Chi miigwej. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. Miigwej. Miigwej. Now do the good work.
Thank you, Elder Commander. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the introductory segment of the CDB's 54th annual meeting. Over the next 2 days, as our governors confer, we know the people, organizations, and communities of the Caribbean will be central to all discussions and decisions. May the deliberations bring benefits to those we serve. And since we have brought the Caribbean to Canada, I close by saying, one love. Mr. Chairman, I turn the podium over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that opening remarks, and good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde.
Good morning, everyone.
Caribbean Development Board of Directors, Board of Governors, Acting President of the Caribbean Development Bank, Isaac Solomon, Elder Commander, honored guests from the Métis, Indigenous, and Inuit peoples, the CDB executive staff and executive and staff. Welcome to the opening ceremony of the 54th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the Caribbean Development Bank. I'd like to also take a moment to acknowledge and salute the presence of my parliamentary secretary, the Parliamentary Secretary of International Development, Honorable Anita Vandenbeld, who's back there, as well as the Deputy Minister of International Development, Chris McLennan, and all the officials from the Global Affairs Canada. I'd like to acknowledge that we're also gathered on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe peoples, and I want to recognize the enduring connection that they have to their land, to this land, and express our gratitude for their ongoing stewardship of this land and allowing us to work, live, and play on this territory. And I'd like to take a particular, I'd like to thank specifically Elder Commander for always gracing us with her presence, and for blessing our meetings, and for reminding us about the importance of recognizing this territory as Algonquin Anishinaabeg territory. I'd also like to recognize the Premier of Montserrat, Honorable Joseph Farrell. Thank you for joining us. Le Canada et le Banque de Développement.
Canada and the Caribbean Development Bank have established a sustainable partnership in the past 50 years. As a founding member and the main contributor to the Special Development Fund, Canada is proud to support your efforts. Le thème de cette assemblée annuelle, Partenariat pour une prospérité,
Resilient societies, communities where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential, where everyone benefits from sustainable and inclusive economic growth. As we know, truly sustainable development is a delicate balancing act between economic growth, gender equality and empowerment, social inclusion, and environmental protection. Neglecting any one of those can undermine the others. The work of the Caribbean Development Bank has transformed lives in the region by mobilizing capital and resources to serve this end. However, Caribbean countries still face many challenges. Climate change and natural disasters continue to devastate the region. Smaller countries are greatly impacted by global economic forces. Energy and food security are also subject to events on the other side of the world. Last October, to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, Canada invested $53 million in repayable contributions, plus an additional $5.5 million in technical assistance through the Caribbean Development Bank for the Supporting Resilient Green Energy Initiative, or SURGE. We also committed $15 million to the Caribbean Regional Technical Assistance Center, or CARTAC, to help regional governments promote growth and reduce poverty. And this past February, I had the pleasure of being in Georgetown, Guyana, at the meeting of the CARICOM heads of government, where I announced $4.2 million to the Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism to advance the clean energy transition in the fisheries and aquaculture sectors. While there, I also announced $5 million to CUSO International to work with local organizations to promote the rights of the LGBTQ2 community in the region. And today, colleagues, I'm pleased to join you to announce $11.2 million in new funding to support key initiatives in the Caribbean region. This includes $5 million to the Inter-American Development Bank's Compete Caribbean Plus to help create an enabling environment for economic growth and investment in the region. $4.2 million to the Environmental Foundation of Jamaica to address the inadequate availability of climate-adapted infrastructure in urban communities. And finally, a $2 million top-up to the UNFPA to advance sexual and reproductive health and rights for women and girls in Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago. I also want to recognize the importance of vocational training, particularly for youth. Technical and vocational education and training is something that I'm very passionate about, and I believe it is an opportunity for us to, it's an area for us to also collaborate together on. While in Guyana, I announced up to $9.5 million to support the One Guyana Digital Skills Development Program to provide over 2,000 young people in Guyana, particularly women, with skills and training for the digital economy. And I was blown away by that announcement because when President Ali told me that these young people are going to be there, I thought maybe some representatives will be there. But there were over 3,000 people in the audience, outdoors, welcoming this investment. And I joked with President Ali, I said, if all the announcements were like this in Canada, we could do way more. And it included all the representative groups in Guyana, but also people from remote and rural communities who will get a chance to upskill themselves, but also have a path towards sustainable employment. Building on our innovative and impactful programming to date, Canada is prepared to do even more to support skills training in the Caribbean. And we will be engaging with our partners on this issue in the near future. And it's something that President Ali, as the outgoing chair of CARICOM, has spoken to me about, and the incoming chair, the Prime Minister of Grenada. And it's something that I think we can explore ways in which we can collaborate together. Because this has the opportunity to really empower the youth of the region, enable them to navigate the digital world, but also obtain the skills necessary to access the jobs of the future. Finally, we have heard you loud and clear for the call by the Caribbean region for reform of the international financial institutions. And we know that the Caribbean Development Bank will rise to the challenge. Canada knows that we need to mobilize private capital to meet your development objectives, as government funding alone cannot be able to meet the need and the demand that you have for critical investments. Development banks must find new ways to increase capital resources to meet the increased demands of their borrowing members, and we must do so responsibly. Canada is exploring legislation to allow us to respond to innovative instruments that development banks are proposing and to increase their lending room so that their borrowing members can access those funds. And you know, these innovative approaches and suggestions have come from the region. We know about the Bridgetown Initiative and other initiatives and conversations and the suggestions from the leaders in this region are actually forming the foundation for change in the multilateral development banks. We've also integrated climate-resilient debt clauses into our sovereign lending so that we take into consideration the option of providing relief to borrowers experiencing climate crisis and natural disasters. You know, you've heard of the example of one of the countries in the region where when they experienced a hurricane, immediately after that, the first thing, instead of worrying about rebuilding and recovery, they were worried about their next payment at a time when they couldn't do that. And so we have to do better in terms of responding to those realities on the ground in the region. And these important steps that we're doing and carrying together and experimenting will lead to more resiliency and prosperity for more communities in the Caribbean and the world. And as I said, the ideas and the reform initiatives that you're proposing to be carried out collectively and advocated for by all of us will actually set the standard for the rest of the world. And so, friends, this annual meeting is coming at a really critical time for all of us. I know that over the next few days, we will be charting a new course for our shared prosperity together. Thank you for this, for your attendance for this really important event. And Canada, as I said in my speech at the reception on the first day, Canada has been, is, and will continue to be a strong, reliable, and resilient partner for the Caribbean region, a partner that really looks forward to deepening our relationships, a partner that appreciates the long historical relationships between our countries, and a partner that recognizes that even more importantly than those diplomatic relationships represented here are the strong people-to-people ties that we enjoy, people-to-people ties that have really strengthened our countries and our futures. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to meeting all of you over the next few days. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Okay, I now invite the Governor for Jamaica, Honorable Nigel Clark, to the podium to give the reply to the welcome address on behalf of the borrowing member countries. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Ahmed Hussein, Chairman of the Board of Governors, Isaac Solomon, Acting CDB President, fellow governors, members of the Board of Directors, Vice Presidents, government representatives, development partners, and other distinguished guests, management of CDB and staff, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is an honor to deliver this message not only on behalf of the government and the people of Jamaica, but also on behalf of all our borrowing member countries. Firstly, I'd like to thank our host country, Canada, for your warm welcome and kind hospitality. I also want to recognize the assiduous work of management and staff of the bank in ensuring the success of this annual meeting. Your unwavering dedication to meeting the needs of people across the region is deserving of the highest commendation. Over the past 50 years, the CDB has significantly contributed to the Caribbean's development agenda across various thematic areas, including education, agriculture, disaster emergency response, infrastructure, private sector development through credit facilities, budgetary support via policy-based loans, and social development through social investment funds. Jamaica has benefited tremendously from a wide range of grant-funded technical assistance initiatives which have strengthened our public financial system, conducted pre-investment feasibility studies for the water sector, built capacity in post-disaster needs assessment and climate change adaptation, and facilitated trade, which has benefited and supported the micro, small, and medium-sized enterprise sector. The shared challenges we face as a region have brought us here to collaborate to devise solutions in the midst of extant threats, while building resilience as a buffer against our inherent vulnerabilities. May we be mindful of the wisdom of good policy in entrenching stability and mitigating volatility as we pursue our development priorities. Jamaica remains committed to making sound, sustainable decisions that strengthen our economic resilience. These include building out our framework for natural disaster financing and ensuring the public investment process supports the investment needs of the country through effective public-private partnerships with our multilateral stakeholders. As we accelerate the pace of recovery from the pandemic, bolstered by 12 consecutive quarters of economic growth, we continue to prioritize macroeconomic stability and fiscal and debt sustainability. This focus has enabled us to record robust economic performance, including continued record low unemployment, debt that is significantly lower than pre-pandemic levels, upgrades in our sovereign credit ratings, the moderating of inflationary pressures, and record levels of net international reserves as a critical buffer against external shocks. This recovery process has benefited from the underlying principles of policy sustainability, economic resilience, and economic stability. Jamaica also continues to be steadfast in our efforts towards public sector transformation through the implementation of our compensation restructuring exercise and further improving service delivery to enhance efficiency. The government is also far advanced in the operationalization of the Independent Fiscal Commission to institutionalize our fiscal gains, while we continue to focus on other key governance reforms, including the maintenance of the database of prospective directors for the transparent nomination, selection, and appointment to the boards of public bodies, as well as efforts towards anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism. The acceleration of crucial reforms within our ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as the enactment of key legislation that underpin these and other reform efforts, remain high on our list of priorities for the foreseeable future. As we engage in knowledge sharing for a more resilient future, we are reminded of our particular vulnerability to natural disaster risks, with which we must contend and prepare for, as natural disasters have the potential to destabilize our economies. We have had cause to reflect on the best ways to prepare ourselves for the fiscal impact of natural disaster. As of today, Jamaica has the distinction of leading the region and beyond in implementing a multi-layered suite of financial instruments that can provide needed resources in the wake of a natural disaster event. This suite of instruments includes savings in the National Natural Disaster Fund. It also includes annual budgetary allocations, contingent credit claims from our multilateral partners, as well as insurance through the Regional Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility. 3 years ago, Jamaica also became the first small country in the world to independently sponsor a catastrophe bond, which we have recently renewed, and there is an opportunity to explore a regional product. As we look towards the future, there is also an opportunity for Jamaica, and indeed the Caribbean, to build its economic recovery on a modern foundation, better use of technology, and digitization of public and private sector services. We recognize the invaluable role of the CDB in continuing to provide support to our member countries across a raft of areas, including but not limited to enhancing educational quality and improving the effectiveness of social protection, enhancing governance and citizen security, investing in inclusive growth and competitiveness reforms, and strengthening environmental sustainability and energy security. The CDB can be proud of its diligent work and professionalism amidst the various challenges we face. The teams involved in generating and executing our economic policies have demonstrated their capacity to undertake significant projects and programs across the region of varying magnitude and complexity. Thank you once again, Mr. Chairman, for convening this meeting, and thank you for the opportunity to address this session. As we move forward, let us remain resilient in service to our people. May we continue to foster productive dialogue and engage in meaningful conversations as we partner to advance the region's development. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Governor. I now call on the temporary alternate governor for Colombia, Ms. Luz Stella Campillo Hernandez, to give the reply to the welcome address on behalf of the regional non-borrowing member countries.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Ahmed Hussein, President Acting of the Caribbean Development Bank, Mr. Isaac Solomon, distinguished governors, ladies and gentlemen. I am deeply honored to stand before you today, representing the regional non-borrowing members countries and the government of Colombia. First and foremost, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Government of Canada for graciously hosting this pivotal annual meeting and for their steadfast leadership as chair during this period. Additionally, I commend the dedicated efforts of the bank's staff, whose hard work has ensured the success of this significant event. The challenges facing the Caribbean region today are multifaceted, encompassing climate change, food insecurity exacerbated by global tensions, disruption in value chains, and the lingering economic impacts of COVID-19 compounded by high debt and interest rates. In light of these pressing issues, it is imperative that we embrace a paradigm shift. Business as usual is no longer an option. We must adapt and innovate. Multilateral banks, including our esteemed Caribbean Development Bank, have a crucial role to play in this transformation. They must not only expand their portfolios, but also actively seek out structural and countercyclical solutions. The theme of this year's annual meeting, Partnerships for Resilient Prosperity, resonates deeply. It underscores the pivotal role of strategic alliances and experiences. We can expedite this progress and achieve collective prosperity. I am heartened by the bank's proactive stance in intensifying partnerships aimed at enhancing productivity, sharing knowledge, facilitating technology transfer, and mobilizing finance. The development of initiatives such as the CMBI Plus exemplifies the bank's commitment to mobilizing resources for vulnerable countries affected by climate change, even those not traditionally eligible for concessional financing. As nations within the same region, we share common challenges and successes. Colombia, for instance, has emerged as a regional leader in structuring innovative financing instruments to attract new investors dedicated to climate adaptation and mitigation. Our issuance of sovereign green bonds and the establishment of a national green taxonomy underscores our commitment to sustainable development and environmental stewardship. We stand ready to share our expertise and collaborate closely with the bank and fellow member countries in these critical areas. Finally, Mr. Chairman, I express my sincere appreciation for the opportunity to address this team gathering and extend our gratitude to the Caribbean Development Bank for its steadfast partnership and support. Let us seize the momentum and this meeting to deepen our relationships, foster knowledge sharing, and forge resilient partnerships that will propel our region towards a prosperous and sustainable future. Thank you once again, and I wish everyone a very productive and successful annual meeting.
Thank you, Governor. And finally, I call on the temporary alternate governor for Italy, Mr. Simone Alberto Platania, to give the reply to the welcome address on behalf of the non-regional, non-borrowing member countries.
Honorable Chairman and members of the Board of Governors, Acting President of the Caribbean Development Bank, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of CDB's non-regional members, I wish to thank Canada and the City of Ottawa for its hospitality and the excellent facilities provided in this iconic hotel. The year ahead will be an important one for the CDB as we develop a new institutional strategy and negotiate the Special Development Fund replenishment. These deliberations take place in a context of broader discussions within the international community to reform and strengthen multilateral development banks to better address development and global challenges. NDBs have been called upon to work better as a system, to leverage their respective comparative advantages, and to coordinate better to maximize impact. The CDB is an essential component of this system and a partner of choice in the Caribbean region for other NDBs and international development partners. The MDB's reform processes have highlighted the need to address global challenges, including climate and biodiversity, fragility, and pandemics. The new institutional strategy of the CDB should aim to integrate this approach more deeply into operations in the field. In this regard, we urge management to explore ways to incentivize and leverage investments in the provision and protection of regional and global public goods in the Caribbean, with a particular focus on the ever-increasing impacts of climate change, which disproportionately affect vulnerable country groups and communities. The Special Development Fund is a vital tool in this regard. With respect to the SDF, several issues and challenges were identified in the recent reviews. As donors, we concur with the need to improve the fund's performance and make it more effective and impactful. Concerning the replenishment of the fund, given that a sizable balance remains available, we should consider extending the current cycle or at least bring forward unused funds into the financing framework of SDF 11. Regarding resources, one of the key components of the ongoing MDB reform process concerned the G20 commissioned independent review of MDB capital adequacy frameworks, which is unlocking substantial additional financing for development. We are pleased to acknowledge that CDB's risk management and balance sheet optimization efforts, such as the new enterprise risk framework, the development of exposure exchange agreements, and the implementation of other G20 CAF recommendations are pointing in the right direction. Over the past year, we have seen good progress in improving CDB's risk profile and maintaining its AA+ rating. We appreciate the regular updates to the boards of directors and governors on the financial health and risk exposure of the bank. Our common aim is to protect current lending conditions and volumes to borrowing countries. Maintaining the highest standards of corporate governance is a necessity in this regard, for credit rating agencies as well as for regional and non-regional members, including our country group. This year has been a challenging one for the Caribbean Development Bank. Today we find the bank at a crossroads. As governor of this bank, we are called upon to take key decisions to ensure that the CDB grows stronger from this experience. We note the external independent investigator has concluded its investigation of the president, and we believe that a multilateral development bank that works to improve the living condition of its recipients must lead by example. We expect the highest standards for integrity, ethics, and transparency. Lessons will be learned in the aftermath. Going forward, we should review arrangements for strong governance and look at procedures and process. We should draw on best practices from other development banks to ensure that the CDB is best in class. In this way, we have to maintain confidence in strong governance, which underpins the credit rating of the bank and its ability to provide concessional support to its Caribbean members. The population of the Caribbean deserves a bank that will help transform the region and that will devote its energy to the well-being and prosperity of its people. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. And I understand there's going to be a video presentation next.
Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the screens.
This is the Caribbean, a region of vibrant cultures, breathtaking landscapes, and most importantly, innovative and resilient people. People with dreams, aspirations, and overwhelming potential. For over 50 years, the Caribbean Development Bank has been a steady hand, guiding the growth and development of the region, ensuring our people enjoy the best quality of life and achieve their fullest potential. Our unwavering commitment is demonstrated by our investment in infrastructure development, poverty reduction, healthcare, education, water and sanitation, and several other sectors. We're empowering our youth, nurturing future leaders, encouraging innovation, and enabling our people to translate their ideas and creativity into income streams. We're working to enhance logistics, bolster trade, and improve connectivity to ensure that every corner of this region is linked and thriving. We're promoting greater access to technology and fostering human ingenuity to unlock prosperity. Our success is built on strong partnerships with the region's governments and communities, international financial institutions, civil society, and private sector entities. Together, we are driving sustainable development, propelling growth, and achieving transformational changes. The future may hold uncertainties, but we're evolving to meet them. Our commitment to steering the region through any challenge remains steadfast. Caribbean citizens and communities can trust in our proven capacity to navigate whatever may come. Together, we will create a Caribbean that stands strong against climate change, boasts world-class infrastructure, and eradicates poverty. We stand with the people of this region, united in building a future brimming with resilient prosperity. The Caribbean Development Bank, strong, resilient, and unwavering in our commitment. Your bank, your partner, working for your future.
To the podium, Mr. Isaac Solomon, Acting President of the Caribbean Development Bank.
Thank you so much, Camille. It's so wonderful to be here in Ottawa. Thank you to the team who has worked so hard to make this day a reality, including putting together that wonderful video. 2,400 miles. That's the distance between where we are gathered here today and the headquarters of the Caribbean Development Bank in Barbados. But today, I can't feel much of that distance at all, because I see so many familiar faces from the region in this room. I especially want to recognize the Premier of Montserrat, Honorable Joseph Farrell, the Deputy Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, Premier of the BVI, Natalia Wheatley, the Elder Commander, Parliamentary Secretary of International Development, and Miss Anita van den Belde, Deputy Minister of International Assistance, the Honorable Chris McLennan, members of the CDB Board of Directors, Board of Governors, and of course, our Chair, Honorable Ahmed Hussein, for being here with us. Canada is a true partner to us, and we thank you for hosting our annual meeting for the third time and for welcoming us with such hospitality. I look forward to strengthening our ties with you as we continue to chart a course for the future. This year's meeting has the perfect theme for our current moment: partnerships for resilient prosperity. Indeed, we know that the challenges we face are too complex and too large for any single organization, government, or community to solve alone. No institution on its own can achieve the task we have ahead. It will take all of us working together as one. We must work together to share knowledge, exchange ideas, and mobilize sorely needed resources. That's why we continue as one to boost our partnerships with key organizations acting on a multilateral basis. That includes the Inter-American Development Bank, the Green Climate Fund, the Global Partnership for Education, and many others. And that's why I'm privileged to be here with so many thought leaders, innovators, academics, business leaders, indigenous groups from the Caribbean and Canada, policymakers, elected officials, and others so committed to the continued prosperity and development of our region. We are blessed with so many incredible resources, so much natural beauty in our corner of the world. So much so that many people, when they think of the Caribbean, they think of words like carnival, holiday, paradise. And that's especially true during those long Ottawa winters. And for my Caribbean family, if you stick around until Saturday, you will appreciate what I'm saying. But we know there's so much more when you look closer. What makes the Caribbean so special is our people. People driven by dreams, ambition, and potential. We may be a collection of relatively small nations, but we are a great region too. In fact, the key reason we are able to be a great region is due to our resilience and our ability to compete globally with our knowledge and intellectual dexterity. As a boy growing up in the Caribbean, I have come to appreciate and acknowledge the institutions that have shaped who we are as a people. The institutions that are indelibly knitted into the fabric of what it looks like to be Caribbean. As youngsters, we were inspired by the exploits and all-conquering nature of our West Indies cricket team. The Titans nurtured and developed by the University of the West Indies. And of course, the roads, the schools, our savior in times of disaster, the Caribbean Development Bank. We can ill afford for these pillars to become vestiges of our past. CDB plays a pivotal role in funding critical infrastructure projects, supporting economic and social development, and eradicating poverty across the region. And it's the region's best friend in times of disaster. Yet, it is only with the steadfast support of all of us together that we can ensure that these pillars not only endure, but also lead us towards a brighter, more prosperous future. Ladies and gentlemen, each step of the way, our success has been built on partnerships. Together, working with local communities, governments, financial institutions, businesses, and entrepreneurs, we are driving change across our borrowing member countries. There's so much that we can do with the accumulated brainpower just in this room and in the region to drive development, build greater resilience, and prioritize shared broad-based prosperity that benefits the people and communities in the Caribbean. I'm pleased to report that we have seen incredible momentum in meeting our vision of collaborating to build stronger Caribbean economies and societies. The Caribbean region has seen remarkable developments highlighted recently during key international fora. For example, the Global Supply Chain Forum spotlighted the Caribbean's innovative strides in digital transformation within logistics and supply management, significantly enhancing intra-regional trade efficiency and integration into global markets. This reflects the Caribbean's proactive and forward-thinking approach to sustainable development and global economic integration. In 2023, the Caribbean Development Bank approved over $400 million in financing across diverse sectors, including water, renewable energy, education, health, and social protection. And in keeping with this meeting's theme, this substantial investment was made possible through our strategic partnerships with Canada, the Inter-American Development Bank, the European Investment Bank, the European Commission, and the United Kingdom's Caribbean Infrastructure Partnership Fund. The year saw so many accomplishments we can take pride in. I'd like to take a moment to highlight a few. In times of distress, our efforts in providing budgetary support have proven instrumental in restoring public trust and helping governments to steady the ship. We allocated $150 million to the Bahamas and $43 million to St. Lucia, enabling these nations to navigate financial challenges with resilience and fortitude. A cornerstone of our mission is poverty reduction, and our flagship Basic Needs Trust Fund stands as a testament to this commitment. With close to 100 projects underway, representing a $30 million investment, we are making tangible differences in the region's poorest communities. Whether it was the opening of the Caribbean's first state-of-the-art therapeutic center at the Maxfield Park Children's Home in Jamaica, providing comprehensive support and healing for victims of child abuse, or our youth economy project in St. Lucia, investing $6 million in young entrepreneurs and giving young people a pathway to a better future that rejects the choices of street violence and other antisocial behaviors. Gender equality remains a vital priority. In partnership with the International Trade Center, we launched the She Trades Caribbean Hub, creating opportunities for women entrepreneurs to thrive. As the chair of the Multilateral Development Bank Working Group on Gender Equality, we proudly amplify the Caribbean's voice on the international stage. Our dedication to infrastructure development saw landmark projects from the George Price Highway in Belize to the Linden to Mabura Hill Road upgrade in Guyana. Think of the multiple positive impacts that a well-executed road project can have. Helping workers commute on time, increasing school attendance, and reducing transit costs. There is also the port modernization project in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that will improve the efficiency of cargo port services and support national development. We are also advancing the region's transition to sustainable energy with initiatives like the Grid Interconnection and Renewable Energy Scaling Project, aiming to reduce electricity costs and reduce greenhouse gases. In the social arena, we are addressing gender-based violence through the establishment of one-stop centers in St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines in collaboration with UN Women. These centers provide a holistic response to survivors, ensuring they receive comprehensive support. I'm proud of how far we have come, even as we acknowledge the long path before us. We must remain vigilant in addressing the challenges that lie ahead, such as high inflation, geopolitical tensions, and the ever-present threat of climate change. Our response to these challenges must be comprehensive and forward-thinking. To ensure higher and sustained levels of economic growth, we need to focus on several key areas: developing climate-resilient social and economic infrastructure, improving institutional frameworks through digitalization and the rise of generative artificial intelligence. After all, we can't allow for a continuation of the digital divide between rich and poor that has plagued us. Enhancing our pool of human capital by reducing skills gaps and developing career pathways. Creating an environment that will strengthen energy security and stabilize costs. And improving logistics to boost intra-regional trade and food security. Across all these challenges, I come to the same conclusion: none of us can do it alone. As we move forward, we recognize that making the necessary investments to achieve resilient prosperity will require greater access to adequate and affordable financing. And that's why we are committed to strengthening our partnerships to mobilize the resources we need to critically tackle our biggest problems at scale. Take just one example. The climate crisis demands urgent attention. As we gather here, we know that the window is narrowing for us to take action on meeting the targets laid out in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The stakes could not be higher. We know that we can prevent or even necessarily plan for every great shock that we may experience. What we can do is strengthen our foundation and strengthen our resilience and capacity to withstand future shocks. Now is the time to help our member countries build climate-resilient pathways. It may be painful to act now, but the pain will be far greater in the future, consequent upon inaction. And we can't deal with it ourselves. Climate change is not a crisis to confront in some distant future. It is in the here and now. And the Caribbean is on the front lines. We simply don't have any time to waste. To build environmental resilience, we will continue to support climate action through steps like our Climate Change Project Preparation Fund. This fund will assist our borrowing member countries in identifying and preparing climate change adaptation and mitigation projects. By providing the necessary resources and expertise, we aim to empower our members to take more proactive steps towards a more resilient future. And in promoting energy security through our sustainable energy framework, we assist members in establishing regulatory and governance systems to attract more sustainable energy investment while reducing dependence on fossil fuels. Finally, on the topic of addressing the needs of the most vulnerable, I must highlight our work in Haiti, the most populous country we serve, and a nation that remains fragile and requires special attention from the bank. In education, we are actively supporting the government's National Education Plan by preparing 2 new projects. In ongoing vocational training efforts, we are equipping 4 technical institutes, and we will be training over 700 women to enhance their employability and entrepreneurial skills. In addition, 2 days ago, our board of directors approved a special $5 million grant to help Haiti deliver electricity via 3 mini-grids to rural communities. While CDB is mobilizing resources to meet critical development needs, we recognize the challenges governments face with project implementation. This year, we are conducting a rigorous analysis to identify the root causes of implementation issues in the region. To build in-country capacity, we will provide hands-on support to improve procurement processes and leverage our upgraded digital systems to enhance project monitoring and reporting. Each step of the way, the Board of Governors has played a crucial role in setting priorities, sharing insights, and holding us accountable. In the days ahead, I look forward to discussing with you how we can take this collaboration to the next level, including in our roundtable discussion on the future direction of the bank. We'll be taking a look together in the next 2 days at a few crucial questions. What does our next decade look like? Where can we be most relevant? Where can we move the needle in the most meaningful way possible? And how can we ensure impact through the 2020s and into the 2030s? This organization began in 1969 when challenges like digital literacy and generative AI, let alone climate change, weren't on the development agenda. But we have continued to endure over the decades as an institution, not because of any single individual, but because of our capacity to reinvent ourselves and adapt with the times while staying resolute in our mission and focus. Over the days ahead, I look forward to exploring with all of you what we see for the coming decade and how we can apply innovation and new ideas to meet the region's demands for infrastructure, finance, connectivity, and evolving technologies. It is important to remember that this development work is about putting the right conditions in place, the conditions that will enable us as a people to achieve our full potential, realize a better quality of life, and build a secure future for our children. That is what this is all about. As stated in the video at the beginning, the future may hold uncertainties, but we are evolving to meet them. Our commitment to steering the region through any challenge remains steadfast. Caribbean citizens and communities can trust in our proven capacity to navigate whatever may come. Together, we will create a Caribbean that stands strong against climate change, boost world-class infrastructure, and eradicate poverty. We stand with the people of our region, united in building a future brimming with resilient prosperity. I can't wait to see what the next 10 years hold, and we can't wait to build that future together. Thank you very much.
Before we continue, I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize the presence of Premier Natalia Wheatley from the British Virgin Islands. Thank you so much for joining us, and it is a pleasure to see you again. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I want to thank President Solomon for his remarks, fellow governors, directors, and especially invited guests. I now bring this opening ceremony to a close.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to ask the ladies and gentlemen to remain seated while the governors and the head table make their exit. Thank you.